The numbers blurred together on the bank statement as my hands trembled. $5,000 missing. Not a mistake, not a glitch, methodically siphoned away in small increments over 3 months. I recognized Sophie's handwriting on the forged checks, each one a perfect imitation of her mother's signature. My name is Vivian, and until this moment, I thought I was doing everything right. Supporting my husband Chris through his new job overseas, taking care of his parents, playing nice with his scheming stepsister. But now, staring at the proof of betrayal spread across my dining room table, I realized how naive I'd been. Everything okay in here? Sophie's voice drifted from the doorway, honey-sweet and dripping with false concern. Mom was wondering if you'd finished with the monthly reconciliation. I kept my eyes on the papers, carefully controlling my expression. Just wrapping up. Tell Evelyn I'll bring everything to her in a few minutes. You know how she worries about the finances since Dad's retirement. Sophie moved closer, peering over my shoulder. Anything I can help with? No. I shuffled the incriminating statements into a folder. I've got it handled. She lingered, perfectly manicured nails drumming against the table's surface. It must be such a burden managing everything while Chris is away. If you're feeling overwhelmed... I said I've got it handled. The edge in my voice made her step back, but I caught the flash of calculation in her eyes before she masked it with a sympathetic smile. Of course, just trying to help. She retreated toward the door. Oh, and don't forget, Tom and I are hosting dinner tomorrow night. The whole family's coming. Even that sweet neighbor of yours, Karen. It would mean so much to Mom if you could make it. The invitation hung in the air like a challenge. I nodded once, already plotting how to use the gathering to my advantage. Wouldn't miss it. After she left, I pulled out my phone and snapped photos of every fraudulent check, every suspicious transaction. My fingers moved quickly, methodically, like they used to when I'd helped my parents with their small business accounting before the accident. They'd taught me to trust numbers. Numbers don't lie, they'd say. Numbers tell stories that people try to hide. The front door opened and closed downstairs. Evelyn's voice carried up, warm and confused. Sophie, I thought you were helping Vivian with the accounts. Oh, she said she had everything under control. Sophie's response was perfectly pitched, concerned, slightly worried. Actually, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. I gripped the edge of the table, my knuckles white. 3 years I'd spent trying to be the perfect daughter-in-law, supporting Chris's dreams, caring for his family, ignoring Sophie's subtle digs and manipulations. But this, stealing from her own mother, probably planning to blame it on me when the truth came out, this was different. My phone buzzed with a text from Chris. Missing you, how's everyone doing? I stared at his message, thinking about how much he adored his stepsister, how he always defended her when I tried to point out her games. He'd never believed she could do something like this without proof, and even with proof, it would break his heart. Below, Sophie's laughter floated up the stairs, followed by Evelyn's softer chuckle. The sound made my jaw clench. I thought about the dinner tomorrow night, about all the careful masks we'd wear, the polite conversations hiding ugly truths. Fine, if Sophie wanted to play games, I could play too. But I'd learned from my parents that the best revenge, like the best accounting, requires patience, precision, and attention to detail. I opened my laptop and began to dig deeper into the family's finances, knowing that somewhere in these numbers lay the key to Sophie's downfall. Let her think she's won. Let her believe I'm just the naive sister-in-law, too trusting and overwhelmed to notice her schemes. Tomorrow's dinner would be just the beginning. After all, revenge, like family, is best served at home. The family dinner felt like a carefully choreographed dance, with Sophie playing the perfect hostess. I watched her refill Evelyn's wine glass for the 3rd time, noting how she'd barely touched her own. Vivian, you've been so quiet tonight, Sophie said, sliding back into her seat. Is everything all right with the accounts? Mom mentioned you seemed stressed yesterday. Across the table, Tom's eyes flickered between us. He'd been watching me all evening with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I forced a smile. Everything's fine. Just double-checking some numbers. Oh, you don't need to worry about that anymore, Sophie announced, reaching for Evelyn's hand. Tom's offered to help with the finances. He has experience in wealth management. The fork stopped halfway to my mouth. That won't be necessary. Chris trusted me with... But darling, Evelyn cut in, her words slightly slurred. "You're already doing so much, and Sophie says you've been overwhelmed lately." Mason cleared his throat from the end of the table. "Vivian's doing an excellent job. I don't see any reason to—" "Actually," Tom interrupted, "I've been reviewing some of the recent statements. There are several concerning patterns that need addressing." My chest tightened. Karen, sitting beside me, placed a gentle hand on my arm. She'd witnessed enough of Sophie's manipulations over the past year to recognize what was happening. "What kind of patterns?" I kept my voice steady, even as rage burned through my veins. Sophie dabbed her lips with a napkin. "Tom noticed some irregular transfers. Small amounts, but they add up. We're just worried about Mom and Dad's retirement fund." The accusation hung in the air, unspoken but clear. I pushed back my chair, the screech against hardwood making everyone flinch. "Show me." Tom produced a folder, too quickly, as if he'd been waiting for this moment. The documents inside were highlighted and annotated, painting a deliberate picture of mismanagement. My hand shook as I recognized the same transactions I'd discovered yesterday, but twisted to implicate me instead of Sophie. "This is ridiculous," Karen spoke up. "Vivian's been managing my accounts for months. She's meticulous." "With all due respect," Sophie's voice dripped concern, "family finances are different. The emotional attachment can cloud judgment." I looked at Mason, seeing the doubt creep into his eyes. At Evelyn, already half convinced by her daughter's performance. The room spun slightly as pieces clicked into place. Sophie's dinner invitation, Tom's involvement, the careful orchestration of this moment. "I need some air." I stood up, my chair toppling backward. Karen rose to follow, but I waved her off. In the kitchen, I gripped the counter, breathing deep. Through the window, I could see my reflection fractured by raindrops. Appropriate, given how thoroughly Sophie had just shattered my position in the family. "Quite a performance in there." Tom's voice made me spin around. He stood in the doorway, holding 2 glasses of wine. "Sophie said you'd be difficult about this. Did she also tell you about the forged checks?" His smile never wavered. "Careful, Vivian. Accusations like that could tear this family apart. Is that what you want?" "What I want is—" "Everything okay?" Sophie appeared behind Tom, her hand sliding possessively around his waist. "Mom's asking for you, Tom. She has questions about the investment strategies you mentioned." I watched them return to the dining room, my mind racing. They'd orchestrated this perfectly, using my own discovery against me, positioning themselves as concerned protectors while painting me as the threat. But they'd made one crucial mistake. My phone buzzed, a text from Chris. "Video call tomorrow. Miss you." I typed back quickly. "Can't wait. So much to tell you." Through the doorway, I could hear Sophie consoling Evelyn, promising to help sort out the financial mess. Mason's deep voice rumbled with questions about Tom's credentials. Karen's defensive protests were being politely but firmly dismissed. Fine. If Sophie wanted to play this game, she'd learn what happens when you corner someone with nothing left to lose. I had the original documents, the transaction records, and most importantly, I had time. Chris wouldn't be home for another month, plenty of time to unravel Sophie's perfect plan, thread by thread. I straightened my spine and walked back into the dining room, where Sophie was now showing everyone a spreadsheet on her laptop. She looked up, triumph gleaming in her eyes. "Feel better?" she asked sweetly. I smiled back, matching her tone. "Much better. In fact, I think things are finally becoming clear." Karen's kitchen always smelled like cinnamon, but today even that couldn't calm my nerves as I spread the documents across her counter. "Look at these signatures," I said, pointing to 3 different checks. "The strokes are identical, not similar. Identical." She leaned closer, frowning. "Machine printed, hand forged, Sophie's work, but that's not even the worst part." I pulled up the bank records on my laptop. There's a pattern. Every time Evelyn gets her medication adjusted, there's a series of withdrawals, small enough to fly under the radar, but... Unless you're looking for them. Karen's face hardened. "Have you told Mason?" The front door slammed, making us both jump. Derek, my brother, stormed into the kitchen, his normally easygoing expression twisted with anger. "Want to explain why Sophie just called me?" My stomach dropped. What? She's worried about you, Viv. Says you've been making accusations, acting paranoid. Says you're under too much stress and might need help. He ran a hand through his hair. She mentioned Dad's accident, how trauma can resurface. She what? The room tilted slightly. She's using our parents' death to... To what? Derek demanded. Because from where I'm standing, you're obsessing over bank statements and forged signatures while your marriage falls apart. Chris called me too, by the way. Says you've been distant, secretive. Karen stepped between us. Derek, sit down. There's something you need to see. But before she could show him the evidence, my phone buzzed. A text from Mason. Emergency at house. Come now. The drive to the Turners took 12 minutes. I counted every second, my hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Derek followed in his car, still radiating skepticism and concern. We found Mason in the study, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Sophie stood beside him, one hand on his shoulder, her eyes red from crying. Tom lurked by the window, arms crossed. Show her, Mason said quietly. Sophie pulled out a familiar folder, the one I'd been keeping my evidence in, my original folder. These were in your desk drawer, she said softly. Along with these. She placed a bottle of pills beside it. Evelyn's medication. That's not possible. My voice sounded strange, distant. Those were in my home office. How did you... I found them when I was dropping off those investment documents. Tom cut in. Naturally, I felt obligated to bring them to Mason's attention. Derek stepped forward. What medication? Evelyn's anti-anxiety pills. Sophie explained, her voice trembling perfectly. The ones that keep going missing. The ones that coincide with all those suspicious withdrawals Vivian's been investigating. The trap snapped shut with an almost audible click. They'd broken into my house, stolen my evidence, and twisted it into their own weapon. And now... Where's Evelyn? I asked, suddenly aware of her absence. Resting, Mason said heavily. The doctor gave her something to help her sleep. Finding out that we trusted you. Mason, please. I stepped toward him, but Derek caught my arm. Don't, he warned. Just don't make this worse. Sophie wiped away a tear. We don't want to involve the police, your family, but you need help, Vivian, professional help. Tom knows an excellent therapist. Stop it! Karen's voice cracked through the room like a whip. She stood in the doorway, clutching her phone. I just got off a very interesting call with my friend at the bank, the one who handles the Turners' accounts. She had some fascinating things to say about recent access attempts from unauthorized IP addresses. Sophie's mask slipped for just a fraction of a second. Tom straightened, moving away from the window. Karen, Mason began. This isn't... Show them the security footage, I interrupted. From my home office, the camera I installed last week after the first break-in attempt. The color drained from Sophie's face. Tom's hand twitched toward his pocket, where I knew he kept his phone. Derek looked between us, realization slowly dawning. Viv, what's really going on here? Yes, Sophie. I met her eyes steadily. Why don't you tell them what's really going on, or should we wait for Chris to get home and explain it all at once? The tension in the room crystallized, sharp enough to draw blood. In the silence, we could hear Evelyn stirring upstairs, calling out in her medicated haze. Sophie's carefully constructed plan was unraveling, but cornered animals are the most dangerous. Her lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Actually, she said, I think it's time we called Chris right now. Don't you? Chris's face on the video call looked exhausted, pixels breaking up as the connection wavered. I'm coming home, he said. Sophie sent me some concerning emails about the situation there. My fingers dug into the desk edge. What exactly did she tell you? That you've been acting erratic, accusing people of theft, breaking into her apartment. He rubbed his eyes. Mason called too. Said you're showing signs of what happened after your parents died. The bedroom door creaked behind me. I spun around to find Tom standing there, phone raised, recording. My stomach lurched as I realized this entire conversation was a setup. How long have you been there? Long enough, he smiled, tucking the phone away. Interesting how you didn't deny any of those accusations. I ended the call with Chris, my hands shaking. Get out. Can't do that. Sophie asked me to keep an eye on you. For your own safety, of course. He leaned against the doorframe. You know, Mason's health has been declining rapidly since all this started. The stress, probably. The threat wasn't subtle. I grabbed my keys, brushing past him. He caught my arm, gripped tight enough to bruise. Where are you going? To check on Mason. I'll drive you. The ride was silent, tension crackling. When we arrived, Sophie met us at the door, her face a mask of concern. Dad's resting, she said. The doctor gave him something for his blood pressure. Mom's with him. I pushed past her into the house, but stopped short at the sight of Derek in the living room, reviewing documents with Karen. Show her, Karen said quietly. Derek handed me a stack of papers. Bank statements, dating back 3 years. Account numbers I didn't recognize. Transactions that made my blood run cold. These were in a safety deposit box, he explained, under Mom and Dad's names. The one you never knew about. My parents' secret account. The inheritance they'd left, hidden from everyone. Everyone except... Sophie found it months ago, Karen said. She's been systematically draining it through a series of shell companies, all traced back to accounts she and Tom control. Tom's hand moved toward his pocket, but Derek was faster. Touch that phone and I break it, and maybe your fingers too. Sophie's laugh was hollow. You really think anyone will believe you? The grieving sister, obsessed with her parents' death, imagining conspiracies, the unstable daughter-in-law, jealous of family connections. She moved closer, voice dropping. I own this narrative, Vivian. I've spent months building it. Every erratic action, every angry outburst, I orchestrated them all. Why? The word felt like glass in my throat, because you were supposed to be temporary. The sweet, broken girl Chris married out of pity. But you stayed. You thrived. You started looking at the accounts, asking questions. Her smile turned cruel. Did you really think I'd let some orphan with daddy issues take what's mine? Upstairs, a door opened. Evelyn's voice drifted down, slurred and confused. Sophie, is Vivian here? I need to tell her. Mom's not feeling well, Sophie called back. Remember what the doctor said about rest? But Evelyn appeared at the top of the stairs, gripping the railing. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. The medicine. Something's wrong with the medicine. She swayed, and I lunged forward just as she collapsed. We tumbled down together, my shoulder taking the brunt of the impact. Through the explosion of pain, I heard Sophie's theatrical scream, Tom calling 911, Derek shouting. Karen's face appeared above me, her words distant. Don't move, either of you. Evelyn's hand found mine, squeezing weakly. The pills, she whispered. Sophie's been... The prescriptions. Shh, Mom. Sophie rushed over, mask firmly in place. You're confused. The paramedics are coming. But I saw it now. The perfect plan. Sophie hadn't just been stealing money. She'd been slowly poisoning her own mother, setting up her convenient decline while positioning herself as the devoted daughter. And I was the unstable outsider who would take the blame when Evelyn finally... I met Sophie's eyes over Evelyn's crumpled form. She saw the realization there and smiled, just slightly. The game had changed. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about survival. The toxicology report felt heavy in my hands as I sat in the hospital parking lot. 3 different medications in Evelyn's system, none of them prescribed by her actual doctor. My phone buzzed with another message from Chris. Landing in 2 hours. What's really going on? I started the car instead of responding. The pharmacy records Karen had helped me obtain were spread across the passenger seat, each one showing prescriptions filled under Mason's name. All written by the same doctor, a name I didn't recognize, but Sophie obviously did. The hospital room was quiet, except for the steady beep of monitors. Mason sat beside Evelyn's bed, his shoulders hunched with exhaustion. When he saw me, something flickered across his face. Fear? Guilt? She's sleeping, he said quietly. The doctors say... Did you know? The words came out sharper than intended. About the prescription Sophie was filling in your name. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted Evelyn's blanket. You don't understand. Sophie said it was temporary, just to help with the anxiety until... Until what? Until Evelyn was too confused to manage her own finances. Until she signed everything over to Sophie. I pulled out the pharmacy records. These aren't anxiety medications, Mason. They're sedatives, antipsychotics. drugs that shouldn't be combined. You need to leave. Sophie's voice cut through the room. She stood in the doorway, Tom hovering behind her like a shadow. You're upsetting everyone with these ridiculous accusations. I turned to Mason. Tell her what you just told me about the prescriptions. But Mason wouldn't meet my eyes. I think I might have been confused earlier. Sophie's right, you're not thinking clearly. My laugh sounded strange, even to my own ears. Amazing how everyone around Sophie suddenly becomes confused. First Evelyn, now you. That's enough. Tom stepped forward, reaching for my arm. Let's take this outside. I jerked away from him, bumping into the medical cart. Something clattered to the floor, a small bottle of pills. Sophie lunged for it, but I was faster. The label showed Evelyn's name, but the medication inside didn't match the description. I'd seen enough of my parents' prescriptions after their accident to recognize the difference. Interesting, I said, pocketing the bottle before Sophie could grab it. I wonder what the hospital pharmacist would make of this. Give me the bottle. Sophie's composed mask cracked slightly. You have no idea what you're doing. Actually, I do. For the first time, I really do. I moved toward the door. I'm taking this to the lab, then I'm calling Chris and telling him everything. The forged prescriptions, the stolen money, all of it. Chris won't believe you. But uncertainty crept into her voice. I've made sure of that. Maybe not at first, but unlike you, I have proof that doesn't rely on manipulation and lies. Tom blocked the doorway. You're not going anywhere with that bottle. Let her go. Mason's voice surprised us all. He stood shakily, years of guilt etched on his face. I'll tell Chris everything. About the prescriptions, about Sophie's threats, about what really happened to Evelyn's inheritance. Sophie spun toward him. Dad, you can't. I can't watch this anymore. His voice broke. I couldn't save your mother from your lies, but I can stop you from destroying another family. The monitors suddenly screamed as Evelyn's vitals spiked. Sophie used the chaos to lunge for me, her fingers clawing for the bottle. We crashed into the medical equipment, alarms blaring around us. Through the chaos, I heard running footsteps, shouts from hospital staff. Sophie's nails raked my face as she fought for the evidence that could destroy everything she'd built. Security! Tom's voice rose above the chaos. She's attacking Sophie. Somebody stop her. I broke free, clutching the bottle, and ran. Behind me, Sophie's theatrical sobs echoed down the hallway, perfectly pitched to paint me as the aggressor, again. But this time was different. This time I had proof, not just of the financial fraud, but of something far worse, something that could send Sophie to prison instead of just exposing her lies. My phone buzzed as I reached my car. Chris's message was simple. At the airport, where are you? I started the engine, my hand steady for the first time in weeks. The game had changed. Sophie thought she was fighting for money and control. I was fighting for justice, and unlike her, I knew exactly how far I was willing to go to get it. The lab results lay scattered across Karen's kitchen table like evidence from a crime scene. Each page confirmed what we already knew. The medications in Evelyn's system were slowly poisoning her. But Sophie had been thorough. Every prescription traced back to Mason's name, every transaction carefully documented. She's thought of everything, I said, my voice hollow. Even if we take this to the police, they'll see a concerned daughter helping her father manage prescriptions. Karen's fingers drummed against her coffee mug. And a troubled daughter-in-law making wild accusations. My phone buzzed. Chris. Where are you? Sophie says you attacked her at the hospital. Before I could respond, another message appeared. Police want to talk to you about the incident. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through Karen's front window, I saw Tom's car parked across the street, Sophie in the passenger seat. 2 police officers stood on the porch. Back door, Karen whispered, already gathering the papers. I'll stall them. I slipped out through the garden, heart pounding. But Sophie had planned for this too. Derek stood by my car, his expression torn between concern and accusation. You need help, Viv, he said quietly. Everyone can see it except you. Did Sophie tell you about the prescriptions, about what she's doing to Evelyn? She told me about the paranoid accusations, about how you're acting exactly like you did after Mom and Dad. He stepped closer. Let me help you, like I should have back then. The betrayal hit harder than any physical blow. I backed away from him, from the brother who'd once promised to always believe in me. You have no idea what's really happening. I know my sister. His voice cracked. And this isn't you. Police radio chatter grew closer. I ran, leaving everything behind. The evidence, my car, my last ally. Sophie had orchestrated this perfectly, using my own past trauma to paint me as unstable. Even Derek believed her now. The hospital was my only option. If I could get to Mason, get him to tell the truth about the prescriptions. But Sophie had thought of that too. Security stopped me at the entrance. Miss Miles, we need you to come with us. There's a restraining order. I backed away, watching my last chance crumble. Through the hospital windows, I saw Sophie entering Evelyn's room, her mask of concern firmly in place. Mason wouldn't help me now. No one would. My phone buzzed again. Chris, coming to get you. Stay where you are. Please don't make this worse. Rain started falling as I walked, no destination in mind. Sophie had won. She'd isolated me completely, turned everyone against me, even used my parents' death to destroy my credibility. The evidence I'd gathered meant nothing without someone to believe it. A car slowed beside me. Tom rolled down the window, his smile triumphant. Need a ride? Sophie's worried about you wandering around in the state. Tell Sophie she can stop pretending. She's won. Has she? His smile widened. Then why are you still fighting? Why not just let go, like your parents did? The implication hit me like ice water. I stared at him, seeing something dark and familiar in his expression. What do you know about my parents' accident? He shrugged, but his eyes gave him away. Accidents happen all the time. Brake lines fail. People get confused about their medications. Sometimes the wrong person notices discrepancies in financial records. The pieces click together with sickening clarity. Sophie hadn't just studied my past trauma, she'd helped create it. She and Tom had been practicing their techniques long before I married Chris. Tom's smile never wavered. Sophie said you were smart, figured you'd work it out eventually. Shame no one will believe you about this either. He drove away, leaving me standing in the rain with the truth too horrific to process. My phone kept buzzing. Chris, Derek, the police. Each one convinced I was having another breakdown. Each one ready to help Sophie protect me from myself. But they didn't understand.